Hello, in today's video I'll be finding out if there's another option to removing engine oil when it's overfilled. Last year I received this car with over 8 quarts of oil in it, yet the amount of oil I should have had max is less than 4 quarts of oil. Clearly for this type of scenario, we wouldn't want to remove oil any other way than with a drain bolt, because there are no shortcuts to removing 4 quarts of oil. But when you overfill it by say half a quart up to a quart, will there be an easier way? I'll be purposely overfilling this engine by half a quart to test and find out. Because if these methods don't work, our other choice is lifting the car, then removing the drain bolt, and drain some oil into a drain pan to remove the excess oil. Well, we just finished adding the extra oil. Stay tuned to find out what happens when we try a few methods to remove some oil. So essentially, our most convenient option will be removing the oil through the dipstick tube. So first thing I'll be using is a fluid syringe, which I'll be using this to pull vacuum on the oil and pull the oil into the syringe. And there is an adapter included which can be used to attach to the hose that we'll be using. There are many types and sizes of syringes. This one in particular can hold up to 60 milliliters of fluid, which half a quart of oil is approximately 473 milliliters. So roughly filling this 8 times. Next we got our hose, which we want to be longer than our dipstick, so it reaches down far enough into the oil pan. Also making sure that it'll be able to adapt properly to the syringe. Followed by the diameter of the hose, which is also very important. I did match this up as close to the width of the dipstick to make sure that it'll be able to fit in and not be too wide that it won't be able to reach the oil pan. Of course, we do want this hose to be as wide as we can get it, but also fit through the tube, because the oil being able to be pulled up depends on how fast it can be pulled up through this hose. While I say we're ready for our first test run, I did decide to try this on our truck for a better view of what's going on. So first, yes, we checked the oil, and it's slightly overfilled on this one too. And as you can see, it's about half a quart over. My video from last week will show you how to read your engine dipstick, so check it out. I'll have it linked in the description and at the end of the video. Let's go ahead and insert our hose, making sure that it goes in far enough into the oil pan. If not, you will not get any oil out. Now once we think the hose is in far enough, we just pull back on the syringe and it should begin pulling oil up through the hose and into the syringe. And it does look like we got some oil coming up into the syringe, but it does require quite a bit of effort. Well, let's keep at it and see what happens. So far what I'm noticing is that the syringe does create a nice vacuum, but the hose cannot pull up the oil fast enough. Well, this is what we got so far, maybe 20 milliliters or so after a few minutes of trying to get oil out. Not quite the solution to removing overfilled engine oil. Well, let's put this in a little container so we can get an idea of how much oil this actually removed so far. If you do want to continue removing oil, you'll want to pinch and hold the hose so the oil doesn't drop back in as you empty the syringe. Now with the syringe reattached, you can let go of the hose. And this is all we were able to remove so far. It's such a small amount. Well, I decided to try an even bigger syringe. This one is 100 milliliters. But unfortunately, it pretty much removed the same amount of oil in the same amount of time. Next, I decided to try cutting the end of the hose at an angle so it created a wider surface to pull oil through. And doing this did help pull oil a little bit faster, but nothing significant. And then I tried this vacuum pump with a brake bleeder kit to pull vacuum and basically pull and hold the oil in the container. But this also had its problems. It would pull and hold the vacuum, but the oil would just not pull through. I decided to try this on a 2016 Toyota Corolla with 0W20 oil to see if it works on thinner oil. And actually, this did make pulling oil through a lot easier, as you can probably tell. And finally, decided to try a bigger hose to try to get oil through at a faster rate. But unfortunately, this hose will not go completely through into the oil pan. Although if your engine has a thicker dipstick tube, this should work much better. So finally, after all this, I concluded that getting oil out through the dipstick tube cannot beat the time that you save to use a clean drain pan and drain out half a quart through the drain bolt, unless you happen to have a thicker dipstick tube to allow a thicker hose. Then reinstall the bolt after you feel half a quart has been drained out. It's a lot faster and won't cost you any more than the tools you have if you've ever done an oil change. Well, I hope you found this video helpful and informative. If so, please click that thumbs up button to support my video and my channel. And please subscribe if you haven't done so.